The Billy Slater Podcast, and let's continue our wrap-up of round one of the National Rugby League. In particular, Billy, we touched on it yesterday, but I really want to go over the Golden Point game between Manly and Canberra. So much to talk about here. Ethan Sanders, the young halfback, unbelievable. Let's not forget that Manly had the football for the first 11 minutes of this game before Canberra got it. It was a big victory, wasn't it, for the Raiders?
Yeah, there's a few things that I want to talk about in this game. The penalties early on, we'll get to that in a little bit because that's more of a general conversation around a few of the teams, and so we'll talk about the multiple penalties that some teams are giving away. In big chunks. The 60 goes is inflated incredibly, but we'll get to that. I want to talk about the halves for the Raiders to start with. The two Ethans, Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders, the new young halfback to come in and replace Jamal Fogarty. I applaud Ricky Stuart on the way that they're playing and the confidence that they have to run this footy team. Ethan Sanders is an out-and-out halfback. I haven't seen much of Ethan Sanders play, but I was really impressed with him on Saturday night. And then Ethan Strange is playing like a genuine number 6. They are playing old-school traditional roles as a halves partnership. It's nearly like Ricky Stuart and Laurie Daley. So often we see halves just sit on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and they control their areas, and they get the ball on the right and they get the ball on the left, and they don't sort of connect a whole heap, and they do a little bit, but they're very much stuck in their positions. Ethan Sanders he's the first receiver, and then Ethan Strange, he floats around as the second receiver. It doesn't mean that they can't get the ball first receiver and that sort of stuff, but they can't mix and match it. I just think that it's a breath of fresh air, and it just looked like it flows. They are an unorthodox team. You'll see Hudson Young, he's the left back row. He pops up on the right hand side. He chips and chases, and all of a sudden Xavier Savage is scoring in the corner off it, and you just don't know what you're going to get. But I can see why they have thrown their confidence and given this young halfback the number 7 jersey. They would have been disappointed to lose Jamal Fogarty, but they could see what was coming through, and I just think they've got an exciting young team. You think about their key positions. You're Kyo Weeks at the fullback. He's still very young. Starling's doing a great job at dummy half, but you've got this Owen Paddy that's there and learning and biding his time like Ethan Sanders has done over the last 12 months. They're a good footy team, and they're hard to beat. And I was really excited about the way that Ethan Sanders came into the team. He defended really well. I think they can build something for a long period of time here.
Yeah, what a coach he is, Ricky Stuart. And I was just thinking too, Billy, and I want to get your thoughts here on how important the result was beyond the 2 points, but between the ears for Canberra, given how last season finished, and they just would have gone, another tight one. But how important mentally is it for the Raiders to get the job done in a close game where they thought they had it in the bag, but then had to go and win it again last night. On Saturday night.
It was deja vu.
Yeah.
It was deja vu like the Broncos game, wasn't it? Like they celebrated a couple of times against the Broncos, and when Jamal Fogarty kicked that field goal, or attempted field goal, we all thought, okay, game over. That's it. Full-time siren's gone, and then the referee blew a penalty. Now let's talk about the penalties, and Ricky Stuart, and there was a few coaches over the weekend that actually voiced their opinion. And when you're a coach and you get penalties against you, you feel hard done by and that sort of stuff. And I actually feel that they were warranted. The only penalty that I felt that wasn't warranted for Canberra was the last one. I don't think that they were offside. I think the two players that went out and put pressure on the kicker were back 10 metres. I thought the referee was back probably 12, 13 metres. So they weren't in line with the referee, I get that, but they were back 10 metres, and they certainly didn't leave early. I looked at this like in the high vision, and I slowed it down, and I think they were quite hard done by with that last penalty. However, in saying that, the penalties at the start of the game, all warranted. All warranted. I just think there are some teams, when you train in the preseason, you train to a certain standard that you think the game is. And you're trying to push all these little limits right to the line. And you're practicing and practicing and practicing that. So that becomes muscle memory. That becomes a habit within your footy team and within your game. Then you start playing games in round one, and the referees are trying to create the standard for the whole competition. Not just that game, but the rest of the season. And this is what the standard that they've been practicing. So the referees aren't going to change. So teams have to adapt to what the standard of time on the ground is, how long you're holding them down. The Roosters were another one. The Roosters gave away a whole heap of penalties over there in New Zealand. But I was watching the game and I'm like, geez, that's a long tackle. Oh, there's a 6 to go. So we're seeing all these 6 to goes, and we're not knowing what they're for. I'm thinking 95% of them are warranted. You know, your team needs to adapt to the time that the referees are allocating for you. Sure, you're going to get a tough call here and there. Everyone does. That's just a part of the game. But I just think that some of the teams that are giving away multiple penalties, and there's probably too many penalties consecutive before they get a warning. I think, it's too flowing. The referees don't have a chance to actually give warnings away when they just throw a 6 again. And some 6 agains are back-to-back tackles. Like they might give a 6 again away and the team goes, oh, well, we've got another 6. We may as well just slow the next one down. So that's when the game needs to start going, hey, listen, if you start taking the mickey here, well, the penalty is going to get bigger. It's more severe. So I just think it's the responsibility of the teams, the coaches and the players to actually come to the standard of what the referees are trying to create. Because the game's not adjudicated in rules. It's not the rules of the game. It's the standards of the game that the referees are upholding. It's all an interpretation, and the teams and the clubs and the players and the coaches need to get on the same wavelength as the referees. It's always been a part of the game, is how far you can push that boundary.
On that, and I know a lot of clubs do it. I don't know if every club does it. Getting referees into training sessions, particularly at opposed sessions, it's a must, given what you've just said.
Every team does it, without a doubt. But when you're at training and you're training against each other, that part of the game is not like for like as a game. Like it's so hard to train that part of the game 100% intensity because you're training against your own teammates.
Yep.
And it's a physical battle in that part of the game. So it's really hard to practice that throughout the preseason. But every team does contact sessions. You can call them wrestle sessions, whatever you want to call them, but that is the game. That area is the game. So that's why it's so important. That's why this balance between what the standards of the referees are accepting and what some teams are trying to push, that's where this game is. That's why we're seeing a whole heap of 6 to goes and penalties and back-to-back infringements and all this sort of stuff. They're still working out that balance. It'll find its place because teams can't handle 6 to goes in a row.
No.
Like it's just near impossible. It just puts too much fatigue into you. So something will give, but it's just the teething period at the moment.
Well, we've spoken about teams that came prepared for round one and not just with defence and attack, but also the discipline. You look at how disciplined Penrith were on Friday night. You look at how disciplined the Rabbitohs were yesterday. I know they gave away a few 6 agains, but they didn't give a penalty away. I don't think until pretty much the last couple of minutes of the game. It's it's a great point that you make of how vital discipline is in the modern game.
Yeah, it helps with fatigue. Like our game is full of fatigue. It's a continual physical battle, and if you can help yourself with making it a little bit easier in that regard by not having back-to-back sets or having the ball more. We all know possession is key in our game, and completing your sets is key. So, discipline comes in all forms. Discipline comes in discipline to the rules and making sure that your tackles are legal tackles and all that sort of stuff. But it also comes with discipline to your game and how committed you are to executing the game plan that you've come up with during the week. So, there's a few different aspects of discipline, but it's so important.
Hey, absolutely. Just one more thing on round one before we leave it. And again, Billy, you last week spoke about Suafar-Longo on the podcast. So we might go back and have a listen to something that you said on last week's episode about the Melbourne Storm number one.
Sua's going to bring a breath of fresh air, and he's going to bring so much energy. That's what he's going to be in the game. We know that he's going to be in the game. He's going to be exciting. He's going to make you smile. He's going to get you out of your seat and clap. And I'm looking forward to those moments that he does bring that.
And he had some moments, all right, didn't he? Yeah, and he impressed the LA Rams who were there too at Amy Park, saying, "Oh, I'd love to see him as a running back, mate." He was terrific, wasn't he?
Yeah, he does make you smile, doesn't he? He's a really respectful young man. Like I've got a lot of time for Sua. He's a great fella. He's worked really hard. Grew up in Samoa. He moved to Victoria when he was 9 years old. Played for the Northern Thunder down in the Victorian competition, and he's flying the flag for a lot of Victorian kids. There's a lot of Polynesian kids down here that play rugby league, and he's showing them that it's possible to come through and play for the Melbourne Storm. And nothing he did on Thursday night surprised me. He's ready for his opportunity, and I thought he played really well. He did all the little basic things really well. A lot of the stuff is hard to see on the television, but he's doing that really well. And if he continues with that sort of mindset, the brilliant stuff, a little bit like the Broncos I was talking about, the brilliant stuff is there in his game. Like he's got that little chip and scored under the post. He scored another try because he was supporting, and he's got more brilliant stuff in him that he didn't show in round one, but that's okay, and that he's going to have those games. But he's going to have those moments that we're all going to be standing up and clapping and smiling and being excited about what Sua brings, because he's an infectious guy. His energy comes through the television or to the grandstand when you're watching him play. So he's going to be so good for our game. It was a really good start for him. I thought he played well.
Yeah, tremendous talent. Can't wait to see him in action again this coming week. And we'll talk about round two, because, well, the one thing for these two teams in action in Kia Thursday night footy at Suncorp Stadium this week is that when you lose round one, you've always got round two, Billy. It still is only early in the season. And for the Broncos and the Eels, this is a big game for both teams this coming Thursday night.
Yeah, and whether it's round one or round 10, when you lose a game, you can't wait to play again. That's the first thing. So both of these teams will be looking forward to playing again and just forgetting about game one and moving on. But there's this little thing in the back of your mind that says, what if we lose game two? What if we lose the second game here, our round two? Then all of a sudden, geez, there's going to be a lot of pressure then. Because the noise around Parramatta and the Brisbane Broncos now is huge. And there's only been one game. Like we've got to reserve our judgment until we see a pattern in teams, whether it's a pattern in negative play or a pattern in positive play. But as a player, you know that, geez, we didn't get it right in like round one. Let's go and get it right in round two. But there's this little thing in the back of your mind, you go, geez, what if we don't? Then the noise is going to get louder and louder and louder. So there's a lot of pressure on both of these teams. I think it's going to be a great game because I think both teams have so much improvement. I think they can both improve immensely in this week of preparation. They will look at their round one performances and they will both be disappointed. No one's more disappointed in your performance than yourself. So individually and collectively as a footy team, they'll be looking at the reviews, and they would have already done the reviews, to be honest. They played Thursday and Friday night. They would have been done and dusted, and they're charging into their preparation for this Thursday night clash. It's going to be incredible up in Brisbane, full house. Parramatta, Brisbane, two popular clubs that I've actually got pretty high regard for as footy teams. I think they can both play finals, and we'll see who's more desperate on Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure. It will be a good game. Looking forward to it. And you make mention of big crowd in attendance, and a lot of Parramatta fans in southeast Queensland always love getting out to see the Eels play at Suncorp. And let's not forget that up until Friday night, Parramatta were the last team that beat Brisbane in the NRL when they had that win late in the season at Suncorp Stadium, and so that they know that they can come to Brisbane, head to Suncorp and get the job done against the Broncos.
Yeah, and when you come up against a team and you prepare for a team, what you do is you look at their recent performances. So the Parramatta Eels would have looked at the Broncos' performance against Penrith. They would have looked at some of the good things that they do and make sure that they rectify that. And they would have looked at some of the things that the Penrith Panthers got an advantage over the Broncos, and they would go after that. The other thing that you do is you look at the last time you played. You look at the last matchup that you played against each other. And like you said, Parramatta, they beat the Broncos, and that was the last loss for the Broncos in their run to their premiership. So it's going to be a great game. You don't want to be 0-2 going into the season.
No, that's for sure. There's some great games across the weekend this week for round two. Early game on Friday night, Billy, Warriors, Raiders. What about that one across the Tasman? Yeah,
that's a flip of the coin, isn't it? I really liked what I saw from the Raiders. The Warriors were great. I thought Tanner Boyd did a really good job. No Metcalf just yet, still coming back from that ACL injury. And Tanner Boyd, he was exceptional. They've got some really good young talent coming through over there at the Warriors. Leka Halasima, he scored that try under the high ball. And they've showed in the past that they can get the team things right. Andrew Webster's done a really good job over there, and they fell away a little bit towards the back end of the season with some key injuries. Barnett went down, Metcalf went down, and they just couldn't really get that continuity back in their game. But yeah, this is going to be a good game. I'll probably lean towards the Raiders just because of I like the style of play that they have. What about the late game on Friday?
Oh.
Roosters Rabbit.
Hey,
Roosters Rabbit. That's always a good one. You've got the Alex Johnston breaking record hanging over their head. The Roosters don't want it to happen on their watch, and the Rabbitohs they're in a bit of form. The Roosters coming off that loss over in New Zealand, so they'll be looking to bounce back.
Yeah, something else. Always is when these two teams do battle, as they love to say, another chapter in the Book of Feuds between the Roosters and the Rabbitohs. We'll have it for you on Nine's Friday Night Football. Just cannot wait for it. It's going to be something else. And, if you're a Rabbitohs fan, Billy, we touched on this right at the very start. Latrell Mitchell and his form at the moment, he will be no doubt salivating over this one.
I think those three players, Dave Fafita, Latrell Mitchell, and Cody Walker, that they will be really excited about their season ahead. Dave Fafita has had an injury-ravaged probably 2 seasons. Latrell Mitchell, he's had his fair share of injuries, and Cody Walker, he's not getting any younger. I think that they might think deep down subconsciously that this could be their year. This could be their chance. It could be their chance to win a premiership this year. I just think that Cam Murray looks like he's come back from that injury in great form. He looks nice and fit. He's playing some great footy at the moment. So, who do you think? Do you like the Roosters or the Rabbits?
Well, I've got what they call it, recency bias, Billy, because I was there at Suncorp yesterday and was really taken by Jai Gray, Latrell. One player we haven't mentioned too much is Jack Whiten and his combination with Campbell Graham.
Tavita
Totola. Kieran Kolomatangi was the best forward on the field yesterday and one of the great forward performances across the weekend. So I'd be leaning towards the Rabbits.
Yeah, young Ward went down, Ashton Ward. He went down with an ankle injury, so he's out. Humphries is already still out for another week or two. And so there's a bit of a hole at the halfback. I'd imagine Sullivan will get the nod to play there. But I'm with you. You get Brandon Smith back into this footy team, and their halfback sort of group, you get them healthy. I just think that they can do something this year. They got too many quality players. And they just look like they've got a bit of a point to prove at the moment, the Rabbits. They look happy and healthy, and I think that they'll win this weekend.
All right, big game, that one on Friday night. I'll tell you what else is an interesting game to look forward to, given what we saw in round one, and that's the Sunday footy game on 9 this week. It's Manly up against Newcastle. The Knights. First time we'll see them following their victory over the Cowboys in Vegas, and let's see how the Seagulls respond to that Golden Point loss.
Yeah, and both teams will take positives out of round one. Although the Seagulls didn't win, I thought Tom Drabovic looked good. I thought Tolu Kola looked really dangerous on the left-hand side of the field. He's a strong player. He's powerful with his upper body, and we know what sort of speed he's got. I think they need to work out some plan around getting him some clean ball, which they have been doing. There's some strike weapons in the Manly Seagulls. And I was really impressed with Newcastle's performance over there in Vegas. I thought the way that they used their footy, I thought they had a lot of want and desperation around their game. So, this Sunday afternoon footy, I'm going to be there at Four Pines Park. I don't know who I'm going to go with yet. I'll reserve my tip for later. Maybe Newcastle. I'm not sure yet.
It's a tough one. It's a tough
one.
It'll
be a good game, though.
I think I only ended up with 3 out of 8 in the tips this week. So as they
really?
say, the only way is up.
That's it. It's tough tipping. Anyone can win on their day.
And that's the beauty, isn't it? I know as we wrap up the podcast for another week, Billy, it's the beauty of the game at the moment is that any team is capable of turning up and putting a performance and winning. Even teams that were soundly beaten on the weekend, like the Titans, the Eels. There's so much talent in both of those lineups that nothing would surprise.
No. That's right. And it won't be the talent that wins you or loses you the game. That's why it's a hard game to play. And it's extremely hard at the top level. So if you're committed to that tough work ethic, uncompromising side of the game, if you're committed to that, you'll put yourself in the contest. And like you said, everyone's got talent. Every team has got talented players. Some slightly more than others, but it just goes to show that if you commit yourself to the tough part of the game and the hard part of the game, well, that puts you in good stead to be in the contest.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we enjoyed round one. We now look forward, Billy, to round two. You have a great week, and we'll see you at the footy across the weekend.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Salty.
Thanks, Billy. That's Billy Slater. I'm Peter Basol. This has been another edition of the Billy Slater Podcast. A brand new episode is out each and every Monday.